Hi, everybody. This is Lunch and Learn, and we are a career search support group. We're here for networking, for advice. We know you may not want to be here, and our goal is to be able to give you the advice, the support, and the tools you need to be able to move on to that next forever job or that next forever career. A little bit about me to start with. I am a former HR person. Okay, so the information that I'm giving you is based on over 20 years of experience in HR as an HR business partner, a hiring manager, a talent acquisition manager, a recruiter, both inside and outside companies, as well as the fact that I've been doing this, okay, as a career search coach now for the last 8 years. In addition, a lot of what we're telling you is based on the research that we do, connecting with our colleagues, seeing what's actually going on in the marketplace, what the latest and greatest is, what's working and what's not. And so when we share information, whether it's me, Ken, or Sue, it's based not only on our own experience and the experience of the people that we're working with, but the experience of the people that we are connected to. Okay, all the research that we do to make sure that we're keeping you as up to date as possible on what's working, what's not, and where we see things going. So that's me. I mentioned that this is not a sales platform, but I do this as my labor of love. It's my give back. And I've been doing this kind of programming actually for the last 8 years. But I support it to some extent by doing individualized coaching. And I see several of the people that I am working with on the screen. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. But I wanted to share the information with you so that if anybody wants to reach out, if they'd like some of that individual coaching throughout your process, I am happy to do that with you. In addition, I'm also happy to just have a quick introduction or a quick call with any of you. Okay. I want to make sure that I'm here to support you in whatever way you need it, whether it's in this forum or any other. So that's me. And now I'd like to be able to introduce or let Ken and Sue introduce themselves because they're here to support you and to support me as well. Hey,
Well,
Ken.
yeah, I'm just me myself. Kenneth Lang here from Northern New Jersey. I probably know some of you from all different places. I work at Lee Act Harrison as a branding specialist. I work with a lot of people who are in transition and who haven't been out, but they're not really sure exactly what to do. What I like to do on these calls is share general best practices. And even though I was away last week, I had conversations with people in the industry, a director of HR, a senior manager at Johnson& Johnson. And it was interesting having the conversations with them in a very casual setting because you'd be surprised, not that I'm looking for a job, but I was actually looking to pick their brains to find out what they're thinking about. So that's going to be some posts coming up this week. I don't want to stray too far, but even though I was away, I was still networking. And that's the most important thing. And I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow, Sue, and a bunch of others. Just getting up to speed a little bit right now, kind of on West Coast time, sort of East Coast time, whatever, but I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, Ken. Glad to have you. Welcome back. Sue.
Ken and I planned this. We both decided to wear red tops today. That cracks me, cracks me up. Um, yes, so I love coming to these meetings, even though you don't all love the reason for being here. And I've gotten to know a lot of you. And a big thanks to those who were here last week on the workshop I did on transferable skills. You all were so engaged and gave so much feedback that helped your learning. A couple people reached out, and I promise to get back to you hopefully in a week or two. I've analyzed what we went through and some of the learning you brought up, but thank you for your engagement. It was way beyond what I had hoped that you might be interested in doing. I'm also the mentor with Pom Poms, and it's especially important that I tell you that today because tomorrow Ken, Linda, and I think 10 other people and I are going to be on a 4-hour marathon, Brenda Meller Live-a-thon, which is really an experience for you. I say all the time, and Ken, you heard me unveil this in Detroit, you all being between jobs are unexpectedly self-employed. You're having to run some kind of business to bring in money to cover your costs, contracting, freelancing, consulting, any name you choose. It means that you're not yet in that employee status. So we're going to be talking about things like that. But tomorrow I'm going to be talking about props and not just my pom-poms. Thanks again. And Linda, we already have, I think, 4 questions. I know 3, maybe another one flew by me for you to answer. So it's great to see that there's some new people that are contributing. All right, back to you, Linda.
Thank you. And yes, I'm excited for tomorrow. It should be a great program. We'll put the link there as well. I think it's in one of my posts this morning as well. It's a way because if you are in charge, you want to be in charge of your own career. Okay. Regardless of what it looks like. We know the job market is tough. We know it's getting tougher. Okay. We know that jobs are going away and that companies aren't hiring and that there's a lot you can't do. But what you can do is you can control how you put yourself out there. You can control the kinds of opportunities you're looking for, the kinds of networking you do, the way you show up and demonstrate your subject matter expertise. And that's what not only today is all about, it's what all of the programs that I do is all about, and it's what tomorrow's program is all about. So please join us, not just here, and continue to come to these, continue to share these with other people, but join us tomorrow on that live-a-thon. It should be a great event. Okay. And what I'm talking about tomorrow, it is tomorrow. Okay. I just put the link in the chat. It's tomorrow from, I think it's 9 to 1 Central, so 10 to 2 Eastern. So I do everything Central Time because that's right, my frame of reference. But it is 9 to 1 Central and 10 to 2 Eastern. The link is in the chat. Even if you don't think you can join us, just like for these meetings, if you've registered, you can get the playback. Okay. And it's really important to go there. All right. Perfect. Those multifractional opportunities, those fractional kinds of things. Thank you, Marianne. Okay. I always have to put that into Google to figure out what the time change differences are. So I appreciate you doing that for me. All right. So yes, we want to do that. Now we start out with some quick wins. So if anybody has a quick win that they'd like to share, we would like to let you share it with you. It's our way of supporting you and showing other people that all this stuff really can be done. Anybody have a quick win to share? And a quick win doesn't have to mean that you got a job. It could mean that something worked that you tried or that you put yourself out there and it didn't work. You at least put yourself out there. Hey, Lisa.
Hello. I had an interview this morning. That's why I'm all made up. I also had an interview last Friday. That one went well, but this one, I feel like it went well. And you know how you always have an interview and you think I should have done this or that. I kind of feel like that, but the people were amazing. It's a really good position for volunteer coordinator for a hospital. So got my fingers crossed.
Absolutely. We'll have crossing for you.
I was able to answer their questions, which was really kind of cool. There were 8 people in the room, which is a lot, but that's kind of how it's done for some things. And she warned me, but I already, I was okay with that. And they were all very nice and friendly, so that made me feel better too.
Excellent. So if you haven't done it yet, connect with each of those 8 people on LinkedIn.
Mhm.
Send them a note, even if they're not willing to connect, it's your way of doing that. And by the way, if you know the names of people that you're going to be talking with beforehand, send them a connection request even before you meet, simply saying, I'm looking forward to meeting you or to talking with you on such and such a day. It's your way of reminding them that that you're looking at their profile because they're looking at yours too, and you are actively engaged in the process. For those things that you think you wanted to say and didn't, you have an opportunity to still do that.
Oh, you're
In your
right. I
thank you.
do.
Right? Now, your thank yous can be
Yes.
short, but emphasize one thing. Okay? It's another way of driving it home. And if you emphasize something slightly different to each person that you're sending that thank you to, number
Right.
one, they're going to check with each other. Okay, in many cases, did you get a thank you and what did they say? But they're going to see that you are doing it individually. And that shows that you're paying attention not only to the broad conversation, but to each of them and what's important to them. So
Right.
that's another way to follow up.
I will do that after we
Perfect.
finish our call. That's a
Perfect.
great tip. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, I see David with a hand up.
Okay. Well, thanks to advice from Lisa Vital Hess, who gave me excellent advice, I learned how to improve my comments and improve my posts by having more wording and also using an at symbol to refer to specific people and the specific companies. And I've gotten 500 hits so far this week.
Wow,
500. That's a new high for me.
that's
So
fantastic.
thank you, Lisa, if you're listening to this. I'm sure you are. Thank you very much. You've been a big help to me.
You're
And that's
welcome.
one of the things we all try and do is support one another and give that kind of advice. Okay,
It's good.
good. Thank you. Okay, hi, Diane.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone, or morning, depending on where you are. Um, I did not get the response that I expected. However, at least I got a response. So one was from an automated do not reply, and the other one was from a person. So I'm feeling pretty good about the fact that, someone actually looked at my application and I did not get that automatic that, I didn't hear anything. So I was feeling a little bit down in the dumps because I wasn't getting anything, but I got two responses back.
So to me, a response is a win. Doesn't have to be
Yes,
that it moves forward. It's you're putting yourself out there, you're getting the feedback, you're changing and you're learning and you're growing. Perfect.
thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Anybody else have a quick win? Any new people in the chat in the room today? Okay. And new could be, I know we didn't get to introduce anybody last week. So if you were new last week and you wanted to do that, Marianne, you're not a new person, but you've got a win. Perfect.
My win is to further emphasize the importance of exercise. I started doing something first thing in the morning and it has just changed my mindset. So I don't automatically go to my computer and get online because that just doesn't work. So I get up, I move, I go about and I have breakfast and then I get things going. It's a great, you got to keep moving. It's the bottom line.
Absolutely. And somebody mentioned this morning that when we got on the call that I was smiling, right? It looked like a good day. Whether it's a good day or not, smile. That smile not only changes your mood, okay, but it affects the way you work, the way you react to other people. And it's another way of reminding you that your mood, the way you believe, the way you think about things affects what you do. So keep smiling. Okay, thank you. All right. Hello there, Erin.
Hi. Couple of things. So I had a coffee with an old boss from several years ago today after I kind of was a little bit bumpy of a leave. And so I feel good that I did that and it was a successful conversation and nice to see him. And then I feel like I've been sending some messages, having a little bit of traction. I did have a phone interview or a screening interview on Monday. But it relates to my question that I also had because I feel like I was doing a lot of I saw the description and sent on a specialized LinkedIn group and was messaging the manager, and so I was happy that I got the interview, but they were a little bit, well, very misleading with the salary range. So I'm not sure if it's going to go anywhere because of that.
Okay. Yeah, we'll get to that question in just a minute. Thank you.
But yeah, so I feel like, but at least like reaching out and stuff, I feel like is having
Reaching out is really
an
important, and
impact.
I'm
I don't
glad
know.
you.
There's a lot that I haven't heard from, but maybe some people are being slow or maybe those aren't.
Some are, and some you may never hear from.
Yeah.
But
So.
you also gave everybody another good tip, which is the idea that there are specialized groups on LinkedIn. Now, if I'm putting back on my recruiting hat, I have to pay to post a job on LinkedIn. Okay. Although with some of my memberships, okay, in the LinkedIn jobs area, that may have changed now and I can post a certain number of them for free, but I can post jobs in those groups without having to pay anything. I can post in my LinkedIn feed with the hashtag hiring, okay, or that banner around my face that says hiring, and you can search that. I don't have to pay anything for that. And so those are often untapped areas of trying to find not only jobs, but those connections to people who have those jobs. So keep looking in those specialized groups and joining them. You can only join 100 groups, so make sure that if you're reaching that limit, that you go in and eliminate some that no longer work for you. And if you're going to be in those groups, they only work if you're actually in them and active. Check them agreements in. But great tips. Thank you. Good morning.
Good afternoon or good morning, all. My name is Ansel Grimes. I started the group last week. On my post or my chat, I said I've been in facilities management and hospitality management for about a total of 20 years. Had a quick win, had an interview last Friday. It's going to be a 4-step interview process. I was on part 2. I think it went pretty well. It's for a chef's position. It took me around after the interview and met the entire staff at the location. Did a great tour, and I was told I'd be moving on and should be getting a follow up this week, hopefully. So
Fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Keep
I
us
appreciate
posted.
it. Hmm?
Hello there, Kande.
Yeah, hi.
Pronounce that
Hi.
for me, please. Did I mispronounce it?
Kondal.
Kondo, thank you.
Hi, my name is Kondal. I'm from Silver Spring, Maryland, and my area of profession is clinical research or clinical trials research. And my quick win was an interview this Monday, and I had an interview on site last Tuesday. So hopefully I will hear more about this interview and the next steps. So I'm hopeful that I'm taking the right steps.
Yeah, well, it sounds like it. Having an interview of any kind, it means you're absolutely doing something that's right. So that's great. Okay, let us know how we can support you.
Sure. Thank you.
Philip,
Morning.
good morning.
So I have a couple of things. I don't know if they're really wins, but they're progress forward. First one, I found out about something called Lunch Club, which apparently pairs people. So you create a profile and then it sets you up what they call with somebody else with similar interests or things that you're interested in connecting with. So I had my first Lunch Club meeting this week, and I'm trying to do a pivot into clean energy and sustainability. And the person that I talked to basically turned me on to a couple of podcasts, which I found to be very useful.
Good. Okay. Yeah, Ken just put the link to Lunch Club in the chat for other people who are interested in it. Any way that we can support one another is always a good thing. Perfect. Okay. I'm already seeing lots of questions in the chat. Do we have any other quick wins? If not, let's get going on some of those questions that I see out there. And if we miss them, by the way, we will answer them either in the chat or in the private group. So if you've got a question, thank you for putting them in the chat. But in addition, if you'd like to share them online so we can support you and give you answers now, please raise your digital hand and let's get those questions answered. Okay. Erin, you had one to start with, so let's get you going.
Great, thanks. So I had a screening interview for a role that I was interested in. The job description said a salary range of, it was a big one, it was 73 to 120. Then I get on the phone and they said the hiring range is 80 to 90. And I'm like, she's like, are you still interested? I'm like, I don't know, let's keep talking. And yeah, so then I went back because I was like, well, maybe I remembered wrong. And I looked it up while I was on the phone with her. She had all these questions. Delightful recruiter. But yeah, I kind of ended it with, well, I don't understand. Why do you have this other range here? And she said, oh, well, we're required to put the whole hiring range, but we're not gonna, we don't want to bring somebody in because then they'll cap out and they won't be able to get, a bonus or whatever.
Oh my goodness.
So
What
I'm like,
state is
well,
this?
huh?
What state?
What state is it? It's in North Carolina, the company.
Okay. And the reason that I asked that is that more and more states, at least before this last year, were implementing laws that required companies to post the actual salary range for the job whenever they're doing a posting, and to share that range, not just externally, but internally as well. Now, some states are better about saying it has to be the actual range that we would hire for.
Right.
Okay. Some are not. Apparently North Carolina is not.
Yeah.
So
anyway, so I left it as like, we'll see if there's any flexibility on that 90, because 90 is too low for me. So I don't know. I haven't heard back yet. It's
okay. So here's one way that you can answer that. Okay. If this is not really in your range, okay, what I would do is say, based on what I know now about the job and what you know about me, okay, might be something that I would consider, but I'm curious. What do you expect out of somebody at that 80 to 90 range? And then if you were to go up to that 120, what differences would you add? And then talk to what you bring that works more toward that 120 range.
okay.
Okay. So by forcing them to think about it from the standpoint of, gee, if this is what my range is, here's what I'm getting. And here's the extra you bring to that role that justifies that added salary. It may not work, but you have nothing to lose.
Yeah, it seems like, there's just a wide range of what a job can offer based, and it's not necessarily market based, it's just what they want to pay and hiring and
Yeah, and unfortunately that's true.
Yeah.
Okay, but the range isn't the range that they're going to offer you necessarily until the offer is made.
Sure.
Okay, you can always turn it down. You can come back to them and say, this doesn't work at this salary level, but how about if we do this as a fractional or contract role? Okay, and then give them a number that would work for you at some point, so that I can demonstrate not only what I can bring to the role, okay, but the extra value that I can bring.
It's an interesting idea.
Okay, again, nothing that you have to lose.
Yeah.
Next question.
Thank you.
By the way, Ken or Sue, did you have anything to add to that?
Not really. I mean, you can definitely speak from more of a recruiting perspective, much more than me. So I would defer to you, and I don't know if Sue has anything to add.
Okay. The other thing is that, especially in states where they are required to list the ranges, you really want to look to make sure that it's an accurate one. The other thing you can do is you can always go to payscale.com and salary.com to see what others in the area are paying. Okay, those are areas that are companies that are posting the information in there based on their own salary data, as opposed to Glassdoor, where people are saying, here's what I'm getting paid. Sometimes people are, especially companies right now, are reevaluating what their ranges are. The data in salary.com and payscale.com is usually a year or two old, but it's still another way of trying to find some of that information. But you have absolutely nothing to lose by trying to negotiate a little bit. And if they're saying, are you comfortable with the range based on what I know with the job right now? I'm not really sure, but let's continue the conversation so you can learn more about me and what I can bring, and I can learn more about you. You can always turn it down.
Yeah.
Linda, just one thing. As Erin was talking, I was realizing it looks like there's a loophole, whether it's a state regulation or not. There's a loophole in companies not wanting to share proprietary information. So they're giving a very wide range, as you mentioned, starting at the range for this position. And I hadn't really realized that, although I realize now I've been seeing it that way. So I'm glad Erin brought that up, and you gave her a great strategy and sample script for negotiating into that.
And some states actually are not very good about holding companies to the range. So for example, New York is one of those states where it's allowing them to put anything. So if you're looking at the salary ranges posted on jobs from New York, you might see anything from 40,000 to 400,000. Okay, we know that's not real. There are some states that are really being very good about it. So for example, Colorado is one where they are required to post realistic hiring ranges. Double check to see what the range is for similar jobs in states like that. Okay, it gives you another piece of information that you can use. It's not going to be a direct match, but it gives you some more ammunition. Okay, you're right. New Jersey has it. Illinois has it. Illinois is one of those states that requires companies to do those realistic ranges. But again, it's for companies that have more than 25 employees. And because it's new, not everybody is complying with it yet. One of the reasons that I asked Aaron where the job was. Next question. I'm not monitoring the chat, so I know we have a number of them in the
Yeah,
chat.
I wrote down Upashana was the first one, Hillary Levitt the second one, and the third one was Catherine Staunton. So if any of them want to unmute and go over the question. 'cause the
Absolutely,
questions-
please.
Yeah, hi everyone. Hi, Linda. So my question is regarding the job breaks in my career. So, I've been going out networking with people, and fortunately, I got an opportunity where somebody asked me for my resume, and I did send for a couple of them. And they said my resume looked good initially, the HR round, but when it's reached the hiring manager, they said that there are breaks in my career. So my breaks in my career were due to moving internationally, 2 maternity breaks, and of course during COVID I was laid off. And so I'm not sure how I'm going to represent that, because there is no way to talk. If I can talk to the hiring manager, I can explain to them that why there are breaks in my career. But when I don't even know who the hiring manager is, but the feedback that I got was I have too many breaks in my career, and my stint at the companies are shorter. Instead of looking at the achievements that I did in those companies, where I have put numerical values, the percentages of how I have improved the system and everything, but still getting rejected just because of my personal thing. So I don't know how to put that across, and how do I let them know, basically?
Okay, so who did you get the feedback from? Was it from internal recruiter, external recruiter, hiring manager?
So it was from my referral. So it was through a referral channel. So I did send it to my referrals, and they were informed by the hiring manager, the HR, basically, that she has got breaks and her stints are not pretty long at some companies. So yeah, that's what I got to know. I asked them for the hiring manager so that I can, maybe drop an email or something, but they didn't provide that tab. Yeah.
Okay, so a couple of things. One of which is referrals are wonderful, okay, but you honestly don't know whether or not they've done much with it and what that feedback is. You want to be able to hear it directly yourself. Number two is apply anyway. Okay, if there's an opening at that company, go ahead and apply, even though your referral said it may not work. And number three
I
is
did apply. Sorry. Yeah.
that's okay, good. Okay,
Yeah.
then connect with other people on LinkedIn, see whether you can find who the hiring manager is, the recruiter is, and if nothing else, ask your referral to say, I'd love to be able to reach out just to get some feedback so that I can improve what I'm doing for next time. Okay, not that I'm pushing this job, but for next time. And then the next thing is make sure that your resume highlights what you're doing. So is your resume are you highlighting up at the top of your resume what those, okay, not in individual jobs, but at the top of the resume, outside of the jobs area. Okay, if you're doing that, then the jobs gaps shouldn't be as big. People won't see them necessarily. They won't focus in on that as much, we hope, as they would from the idea that you're seeing all the gaps and it's harder for me to find things.
Yeah, I'm not sure, because at the top of my resume, I have put all my achievements during my career, like percentage wise, what the feedback has, everything is there. But yeah.
Okay, so you want those at the top of the resume. You want the 6 to 8 most significant things that you've done anywhere in your history that match the new job or that are transferable to the new job. And you're not going to say where they were or when they were. Okay, it's that combination of specific and generic. Okay, so that we can focus in on those. When you're doing that, and then as you're doing it, don't highlight in terms of the experience section. Don't make a big deal about the gaps. We all have gaps. Okay. Have you been are you currently working, or have you been working recently?
No, I was on maternity. I just came out, but I have written in my CV that I'm freelancing because I do things here and there. So yeah.
Okay. Well, congratulations on the baby. Okay. So I understand that. So what I would do is at the top of the resume, I might talk about what you're learning. In your cover letter or in your professional summary, talk about how you're excited to come back to the workforce and bring these new skills with you. Okay.
Yeah.
Emphasize what you can do, not the fact that you've been off. Ken and Susan, Ken and Sue. Okay.
I mean, I've been putting some comments in the chat, and one of the things is, and again, this is anecdotal, most hiring managers I know don't care as much about gaps as the HR people do, because the HR people want to make sure they're putting put their best candidates there, and what they consider a best candidate is not what a hiring manager does.
Exactly.
And I think you can relate to that too, Lynn. It's like they're more interested in what you can do and what you can do for me. They don't, I mean, HR, they're still like six months away here, a year there. It's like, and most hiring managers could care less because they just want the work done. But it's hard. You have to get around the recruiters though.
Right. And that's especially true if you're talking about an outside recruiter rather than an inside one.
Yeah.
An outside recruiter normally can only present 2 to 3 candidates. So they're important. And that's the only way they get paid is if one of the candidates they present gets hired. Otherwise, they're doing a lot of work for nothing. So they want to make sure that they are presenting the right people. And in many cases, they're going to be harder to convince about those gaps than the internal people will be. We all know that gaps exist. Okay. So here's another way to get around some of that idea of the gap. Be active on LinkedIn. Okay. Comment, engage, not just, gee, that looks great, but do something to help move that conversation forward, to help demonstrate that professional expertise. Keep networking and communicating with people, and that helps too.
I have one more secret related to LinkedIn that I think people forget about. And Upashana, this would be great for you to do. A LinkedIn article about how you've navigated a career of challenges from moving to this to that, and describe your journey. Put it out as an article, put it as a post, put it in your featured section, because you can write whatever you want, which is your experience. And we are seeing more and more women, but men also, different family responsibilities, normalizing this. So take control of your professional development. Linda said this earlier, use the opportunities, but that way you can explain it. And you can start with what Ken said. What have and Linda said, what have you learned? How do you keep up on things? And if you're already doing consulting, hopefully you've got some company page, really easy, 5 minutes. If you need guidance on it, Brenda Meller has a great guide on it.
Right.
So you can look like you're working and that's been intentional all along. So there's a lot of ways besides the resume where you have to get past the gatekeepers. Right. Because what I have been reading over and over again in the last 6 months from recruiters is the first place they go, even if your resume makes it to the top, is they go to LinkedIn. They want to see your picture and who you're connected to. So they're going to be looking at your LinkedIn and they're going to see your featured section.
And they're not only that, they're going to be seeing your activity. They want to make sure that you're not just using LinkedIn as another source of a resume. It's not. It really should be your way of demonstrating your expertise. So here's one more tool that I would like everybody to use. In fact, I haven't done it recently, but I'm going to do it too. People have asked me about LinkedIn videos. They're really easy to do. Use your cell phone. You don't have to edit them. Truth, I don't edit mine. Okay. But you can do a very short video introduction of yourself and talk about that journey and the things you accomplish and the things you do. Post that as a video, tie it to your featured section, and that's your video introduction to everybody. And if you call it, here's who I am, okay, or what I can bring, label it with something like that. People will take a look at it when they look at your profile. And that's another way of introducing you, explaining those gaps and what you can do, and It makes you stand out from everybody else. It'll take you, okay, and I probably shouldn't admit this. I normally do mine in 1 or 2 takes if I don't like it, right? But that's it. I don't edit mine. They're out there. I did one yesterday. It's just another way of making yourself stand out, and it's a good way of doing it. So I highly recommend that, and I'm going to be recommending that more and more.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Yep.
Next question, Erin.
I actually put a question in much earlier, and I think it
Okay.
was missed.
Who was that?
My name is Julie, and my question was, it was right when you first started recording, or before when you recorded. My question was, how do job seekers stay motivated in this market?
Oh,
Because I think that applies to everybody, because it's really tough.
you're absolutely right. Okay. It's extremely tough. In fact, we're going to try and do another section and one of these lunch learns just on that whole idea of motivation. I wish I had a magic ball for you or a great answer. I don't. It's just you have to keep going out there. And if something isn't working today, take a step away. Okay. It's okay to take those breaks. It's okay to try something different. But that's one of the reasons for doing meetings like this, sharing ideas. And okay, anybody else have any ideas and suggestions about how to stay motivated?
I mean, I would say try to find networking groups like this. Try to find 4 or 5 people in your industry that can make you accountable and can kind of lift you up because it's not easy. I mean, all of us here, myself included, have been out for a long time at times, and it gets very frustrating.
It does.
And you have no control over it. So I would say try to find things you have control over, at least you can feel good about.
Exactly. Okay. And one of the reasons that we start these meetings by sharing successes, by sharing the questions, is to let you know that you're not alone. And I know that psychologically that both helps and hurts. Okay. Your situation is different than everybody else's. Sometimes it helps to know that you're not alone, but it's that whole idea of you might learn from somebody else, try something different. And it's okay to have those days where it's not working and walk away. And then to pick yourself, turn yourself. Some of my coaching clients laugh at me when I say this, but if we're in one of those ruts in a coaching session, I will actually ask them to stand up and turn around and then come right back. That physical act of making that change, that move, helps to reset and start thinking about something different. So try something different for a minute. Okay. Walk away, and instead of worrying about doing the job search, worry about helping somebody else. Not worry, but do something about helping somebody else. Spend a week doing not just job applications. In fact, don't even do an application at all. Just comment, build your network, grow something. Okay. Even if growing means you're going out and you're growing your garden. Job search is tough. It absolutely is. And especially in this market where we're getting either lots of ghosting or no responses or, okay, the negative stuff, we know that it's tough. So do whatever you can to motivate yourself, walk away, and then come back. And if you need some of that kick in the pants or you want that extra support, reach out. I am happy to have a chat. I'm going to put that in the chat as well. Okay. We're here to support you in any way that we can. Oops, wrong. Assuming that I can type. Okay. Have to have your fingers on the right keys to have that happen, right? Thank you. Did that help at all? I know that it's really tough, Julie, but we're going to try and keep you motivated along the way and keep you going. Okay.
Thank you.
You're absolutely right. Next question. And thank you for pointing out that we missed you. Who's the next question?
Hi, Linda. This is Shiloh. I had my hand up, but I was just going to throw myself out there.
Good, Shiloh.
I am new to the group, and I really like the positivity. I really do, because you don't feel that every day, and here, I'm listening to you and I really feel it. So thank you. My question was about fractional or freelance. I heard somebody mention that earlier. I do have a business set up, but how do you find that work? Is it just through networking and telling people you're available, or is there a place?
Ken, I'm going to let you start this one.
I mean, I'm going to speak from my experience. For me, it's just knowing a lot of different people in a lot of different places. I started out by doing presentations to different groups about what I do to gain knowledge because a lot of groups need speakers. And that's what happens. But if people don't know what you can do, and we had a discussion about this, having a website is not as important as people as getting to know who you are. The website is kind of secondary. Um, and just go to events. You know, there's events all over. If I don't know what you can do, how can I help support you and vice versa? And that's kind of, think about it from that perspective. So that would be my general advice.
Okay,
I agree. Sue, do you have any
absolutely.
suggestions?
I thought Ken was going to mention a couple places to look for jobs. I was just going to post the link in Shiloh. I will do it. It's in my buffer right now for fractional jobs. But that being said, you need to understand that everybody's claiming them. Indeed says you come to look, and a lot of people don't understand, or a lot of people think it's CEO or, C-suite level, only senior management. So it's on you, and it's one of the terms I use to say, no matter whether you call yourself a contractor, fractional, multi-hyphenate, it's all the same thing. You're patching together work. I think that's how Ken described it once, that's what he does. So I would look at those jobs though and get the wording for them and get the focus of them and see where you match, overlap, what you can bring, so you can start to put yourself out that way. And again, a company page helps you with that validation and credibility on LinkedIn, because you don't have a gray blob for the job. You've got now a logo or, a tagline, whatever.
I mean,
Ken,
I would
I'll
ask
turn it
you
over
this
to you.
also. Would you do a few short-term things at the same time? Would you do one thing for 3 months? I mean, that's part of the definition.
Right,
Because I'm doing a bunch of part-time things at the same time. There are other people that go 6 weeks here, 6 weeks there. And if you can do both, again, that's just clarifying what you can do, whatever that is.
Absolutely. Very good. Thank you.
Sure.
And wait a minute, here's another tip, is that when you're looking, most companies understand what fractional is. They're beginning to understand that more, but they're not posting jobs as fractional necessarily.
Right.
So look for contract, look for part-time. The other thing is that, just as I mentioned earlier for one of the questions, if somebody says, I'm not really sure about this, as you're in a conversation, okay, if they're not really sure, if you're too expensive, whatever it is, why don't we try this on a fractional basis? Okay.
Okay.
What do you think? How many hours? What would you like to see somebody do? Or how about we try this on a contract basis, not contract to hire? We know that that's what you want. Okay. But contract to hire scares people off within companies right now. But contracting, if you are willing to do that and you demonstrate your worth, that's another way to get your foot in the door. Here's another tip from inside the organization. Fractional roles are considered employment, and they come out of that employee bucket in terms of the budget.
Oh.
Contract roles come out of the expense budget. Okay. And that's not something that you're going to tell the new company that you're looking at, but just for your perspective. It's one of the reasons we're seeing contract roles becoming more popular within organizations, because they can justify that expense as opposed to the employee headcount. Okay. So if you're proposing it and you're willing to do that fractional role, that part-time, that contract role, and maybe string some of them together, it has so many advantages, not only for you, okay, in terms of building your resume, building that client base, building the accomplishments that you have, as well as your internal and external networks within that company as well as elsewhere. But it gives you the ability to build that portfolio career and take additional control over what you do.
I would also do searches on LinkedIn for the keywords fractional manager, fractional this, and see what profiles come up, what job specs come up, because that'll help you further amplify what you want to do.
Not only that, I'm going to take that one step further, Ken. It's not just, see, that's what we do, is we build off one another, right?
Yeah.
But as you're doing those searches for fractional, look at it for the people who are in those jobs. You're not looking for jobs. You're looking for people who are doing those kinds of roles. And then you want to network with them. How did they get those jobs? What did they do to prepare? How does it work within the company that they're working for or working with? How did they sell themselves into those kinds of roles? So use that as another way of building that engagement. And honestly, you never know where that can lead.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Next question. Okay. Sue, I'm not keeping track of who was next.
Probably Hillary.
Okay. Thank you.
I had two questions. One was, it was mentioned through something else, I don't remember, but that the job boards only consist of 20% of the jobs that are actually opened and available out there, and that we should be using social media like Twitter and all the other channels. I'm not that familiar with them, and I'm not sure how you would go about finding jobs on there and the steps that you would need to do to make yourself more popular on them so that you can get the jobs. That's question number one.
Sue.
I want to warn you and others, job seeking's a full-time job. So going out to more than one or two social media locations is very taxing because it becomes another mental burden and physical burden if you write things down. Let's remember, LinkedIn has 1.2 billion people that just announced their new numbers. And you can get on Instagram and Facebook, Twitter. I wouldn't even go there. It's a cesspool, but Threads, for example, or Blue Sky, all of those have never given me, the newer ones have never given me the engagement I want. If you're selling a product, Insta is great. If you want to keep up with friends and groups, Facebook maybe is great for some people. But I think if you focus on where you want your career to look like, that's going to be LinkedIn. And I think people, as we just discussed with someone earlier, people don't take advantage of everything LinkedIn's giving us free of charge. You can do video now. You can do LinkedIn articles have been around for a long time. They're underutilized, I think. So there's a lot of ways that you can add value. The thing about LinkedIn is it's to see and be seen, and you want to be seen as giving your expertise. So commenting on Lunch and Learn and saying, I went to a great Lunch and Learn in the regular post, and I learned 2 things, that's great. Even better is you writing a post saying how interesting a discussion on salary ranges and it doesn't have to be long. A post can be 5 or 6 sentences. So if you're going to invest in anything right now, I would say invest in building up your LinkedIn credibility because it has a very powerful search tool underneath it. And a lot of the areas in LinkedIn are words that are searchable. So you can build up a whole lot of credit and credibility with your network and everybody you're then attached to, your second level network and third level. So that's what I would recommend. Don't take on more burden than you need right now. Just try to maximize one site. And I would make that LinkedIn for everybody that's on this Lunch and Learn today, and generally everybody I work with.
I agree.
Thank you for that. The other question I had was, there are a lot of jobs that are from other employment agencies like Swooped. Are they even worth applying to, or is that just a come on, they're just trying to find people to fill their coffers with?
I would be careful with some of them. Pam Lefkowitz is absolutely right. They're an aggregator. What that means is that their goal is to gather as many resumes as possible and then try to sell them to future employers. Okay. If you see a real job, check out the company, check out the company's website, do some of that additional research. If it looks like a real job, that whether it's through an agency or not, okay, then it's okay to apply, but never let an outside agency send your information directly to the company without your prior permission, period. Okay, if you're looking at some of those outside agencies, make sure that you are checking out the profile, not only of that company on LinkedIn, but check out the profile of the recruiter on LinkedIn. There are too many scams out there, and I reported 3 different people and profiles this morning alone. Okay, and we need to be able to do that. They're terrible, and they seem to be growing. So double check, and if you're ever concerned about whether or not it's real, reach out to me. I'll help you figure it out.
Okay. One more quick question. Is it better to apply on the company's website
Absolutely.
versus the LinkedIn or the Indeed or whatever?
No, absolutely.
Okay.
Go directly to the company website. Find the job wherever you find it. But going directly to the company website does a couple of things. Number one, you're going to have to apply on there eventually anyway. Number two is that we know that it goes directly to the HR and the hiring managers much faster by going directly to the company site than it does if you're going through anything else. It can be as much as a week to 10 days delay. The other thing is that if you're applying directly on the company website, 2 additional things happen. Number one, you know for sure that it is a real job. Okay. You don't know necessarily that they're still hiring or that they're actively hiring, but you know it's a real job. Number two, as somebody who has used all of those systems, or many, I shouldn't say all of them, but many of them, when people apply directly on my system within the company, I get an email ding. And that could be once a day, it could be twice a day, however I've set it up, but it tells me specifically to go take a look to see what's just come in. I'm not going to get that if you're applying through LinkedIn or Indeed or elsewhere.
Thank you.
Okay. By the way, Hillary, you're in the Chicagoland area?
No, I'm in Freehold. I'm in New Jersey.
Never mind. Sorry about that. I was gonna say,
She's in New Jersey, about an hour or so away from me, I think. Actually.
That's right. I'm going to be going to that greet and meet on Saturday in New Brunswick, East Brunswick,
Wonderful.
wherever that is.
You went to the breakfast club.
Breakfast Club. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm going to
So
try
here's
that.
one more thing. So you're right. Facebook and all the other sites really aren't necessarily that good, but there are some sites, and the reason I mentioned Chicago is that there are some Facebook groups specifically designed for job seekers. And they're very active, and they share jobs, and they share resources, and they share referrals. So it's not necessarily a good place to find jobs. Companies aren't posting jobs there anymore. But if you can find some of those support groups, okay, it's worth those kinds of Facebook searches. So there are moms groups. Check with them. No, I'm not. It's not that you have to be a mom, okay, or the neighborhood groups, but ask them if they have any resources. It's an ask. It's not necessarily a search.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
By the way, you're welcome. Anybody in the Chicago area who's interested in that Facebook group, let me know and I will give you the invitation. Okay, who's next? Sue, do you know who's next? I'm seeing hands wave.
Catherine Staunton, but her hand isn't up, so I'd go in the order that they're there
That's fine.
right now.
So
I've
Aaron,
got it.
that's
Go
fine.
ahead.
Aaron, would you like to put your camera on?
Hi. Quick question. Based on your recruiting experience and your HR experience, I was wondering if you could interpret the situation for me. So there's a company that I'm really interested in joining. I've worked actually with them before in different capacities, and they had an art director roll up some time ago that I actually went through internally through a connection of mine that I've worked with previously. And, a few months went by, didn't hear much. Then I got an email, one of those automatic generated emails that said, we're looking at your information, so please be patient. Then a week later, I got another email that the role was canceled. Then about a week later after that, there was the same role within the same division, but a different requisition ID. Now it came up. And so I applied to that through the same contact so I could get, kind of in through the back end of that. What exactly is going on? Like, why does that happen? I don't know if you have any insight into, it just seems odd. It's just literally the same role, same division, but different ID now. And
So it could be different hiring managers. Divisions have lots of different openings within it. It could be an added position. It could be that the one position with one ID number has been out there for a while. They're not getting what they want. So they're going to change the ID number to try and get new traction. We honestly don't know. Okay. The one thing I would tell you is that I would be careful about applying to too many positions at the same company at the same time. Because I can tell if you are going through my system, and at some point you have to, if the positions all look pretty much the same, okay, and different ID numbers, I don't care. Okay, it tells me that you're really excited. And I would try and do a lot of networking to see whether you can find somebody within the company to help you.
I think there's a flaw in the system in general because a lot of times when they get all the candidates, they realize this isn't what we want. We're going to rewrite the specs and we're going to go through the same thing again. We're going to ask for candidates again and again and again. Instead of let's just look at what we have and see if they can do the job. And that's a flaw in the system. So it's not you. It could be a new hiring manager said, you know what, I want this. And no one says take that out. And it's such BS, excuse me for saying it.
But you're absolutely right, Ken. Okay, one of the things that I found when I was in my recruiting role, both inside and outside, is that the first candidate I presented was a throwaway. Okay, basically it's my opportunity to go to the hiring manager, and a good HR person will do this if they are not overworked, but go there and, okay, here's the candidate. Let's talk about them. What do you see that you like? What's missing? What should we focus on next? Which helps them to refine what they're looking for and hopefully then change the posting and the listing. But if nothing else, as the recruiter, it helps me refine what I'm presenting. A lot of recruiters right now are just too busy and they don't have that opportunity or that time. So the idea of trying to find that unicorn, unfortunately, that happens a lot, especially when companies are not hiring much. Because they figure there's a lot of people out there, I can continue to find what I want. And gee, there's no real rush. They're already just going to be there.
Right.
Problems with recruiting or with just generating lots of resumes is that by the time I'm ready to really hire, yes, I'm building my pipeline, but a lot of companies don't take the time to go back and re-look at those. They just post it again. Ken's right. Good recruiters will do that. They'll actually go through the system and find.
I mean, think about it from the perspective you have something to do. You put it off for a while. 6 months later, you realize I need to do this again. But instead of going back through my information where I actually had it somewhere, I'm going to redo the process, whatever it is, whether it's a piece of paper or a document, whatever it is. And that's kind of the way it is. And they don't do a good job organizing and structuring. I mean, you know how it is. You go through things and it's something 3 months ago. I'm just going to do it again instead of going back.
So that 3 months is actually a good thing to listen to. Companies, yes, if your system information is in the system, and I will be the first to tell you that I got one of my jobs, not because I applied directly to it, I applied to another job within that organization. They searched their candidate database and pulled me out and said, hey, let's talk for a different role. But they did what you should do. Okay. They don't always do that. But if it's been 3 months and you see the job posted again, okay, unless you have gotten the hard no, even if you've gotten the hard no, go ahead and apply again, make a change. Okay. And in some of those systems, you can actually edit what you've done. So I would edit it by putting it in and in your cover letter or your note, really excited. Here's why. Okay. And here's an updated version of my resume for this role. Love to have a conversation, but reach out to as many people within the company as you can in order to do it. Is that
okay?
Okay.
Great. Thanks.
You're welcome. Okay. I know we are running short on time, so I'm happy to stay longer for those of you who want to. Before you leave, I want to remind you that as you are leaving, to make a copy of the chat so that you can save that and connect with people. But I will put it in the private group as well, and reach out to me, and let's keep going for those of you who can. Okay, go ahead, Pam.
Hi, Linda. I have two things. First, Shiloh Burnham was way too humble for her own good. She developed an AI app called Job Fit Assistant that is remarkable. And her website, I'll give her website because she's too humble to do it, is careerjumpstart-ai.com. Wicked cool stuff. Very cool stuff. But I want to go back. I want to go back to Julie's question about surviving. Come Friday, I will be 2 years out of work. So I know a little bit about surviving. Sometimes this is the process.
We understand. It's okay. It happens to all of us.
But resilience is not necessarily not feeling anything or being strong, but it is bouncing back. And what I do when things are bad is I try to hack my internal chemicals. So I clean a closet, which gives me a dopamine hit. I check anything off of a list, which gives me a dopamine hit. I will exercise. It's somebody said exercise. Exercising releases endorphins, and endorphins make you happy. And to quote Elle Woods, people who are happy don't kill people. Meditation and getting out and feeling sun release serotonin. Serotonin is a mood stabilizer. Holding hands with somebody, hugging your dog if you don't have a somebody is a way to release oxytocin, which is a love hormone, and it makes you feel good. So I try to do things that hack my hormones, and sometimes I just collapse in a bundle and I cry in a puddle on the floor, and that's okay too, because sometimes you just need to do that. But we get up the next day and we go at it again, because not going at it is not an option. So that's how I survive. The practicals are a little bit different. How do I'm going through my savings, and eventually they're going to run out. And I don't know what I'm going to do when that happens. Hopefully my kids love me enough that somebody will take me in.
I understand it is definitely a roller coaster of emotions. And as Ken said, this is a safe space. That's one of the reasons we do these, okay, is to be able to provide that support. There are going to be good days and there are bad days. And for some of us, the bad days will outweigh the good for a while. We understand that. We're all here to support you and give you ideas. And you gave some really good ideas, but that whole idea of walking away, coming back, more importantly, giving yourself the permission to grieve. Giving yourself the permission to understand that it doesn't always work, and that's okay.
And it's not your fault.
Exactly.
It is not your fault, and it's a hard thing to get past when you just get bounced and rejected, but it is not you.
Right.
No, it is not my fault. I know that.
Right.
I absolutely
But
know
knowing
that.
it and feeling it are two different things.
Exactly. Okay. You've done nothing wrong. It's one of the reasons that I try and get people to change their own narrative, even when they've been laid off. It's not, I lost my job. You didn't lose your job. The job lost you.
Yeah.
Right?
Therapy is also really important. Nobody should ever be embarrassed to hit therapy.
Right. And I appreciate the fact that you've been so vulnerable today. Thank you for sharing that, because it allows other people to recognize that they aren't alone either. Okay. And that everything they're feeling is real and valid, and that lots of us are here to support you.
Absolutely.
Pam, let's talk.
Same with me too. If you ever want to have a conversation, I mean, this is not going to be about you need to do this, you need to do that.
No.
I just want to clarify. We can always have those conversations, but the emotional aspect is sometimes so overwhelming.
Exactly. Okay.
And milestones make it harder.
Yes.
Sure. And when someone says, I know how you feel, that's such BS. You don't know how someone else feels. No, I'm saying because people don't know.
No. They're not in your shoes. Everybody
Absolutely.
can be in the same situation and feel different things.
Absolutely.
Okay. So yes, a lot of my sessions, conversations turn into those listening kinds of sessions and supporting sessions,
Yeah.
not coaching sessions. They're people sessions,
Mm-hmm.
people conversations. Okay. And I'm happy to have as many of them as you want. Assuming that I can.
Yeah, me too. Like I said, don't be afraid to reach out. Don't worry about us.
Exactly.
You're not gonna get us
No.
frustrated or angry or
Almost
whatever.
interviewed me
That's
for a
not
different
what this
job.
is.
At Michigan State. I mean,
Excuse me. Sorry.
U of M.
Whoever that is, please mute yourself. I can't tell who it is. There it is. Okay.
Okay.
I will do I'm also looking for connections. So in the interest of, this is another way we survive.
Yep.
Act Blue, Endeavor, CDW, or CTA.
Okay.
What was the first? What were the companies?
Act Blue,
which is
Endeavor, which might only be local to us, Linda. It's a healthcare system.
Yeah. I may have some Endeavor contacts for you.
That'd be cool. CDW and CTA, the Chicago Transit Authority.
Okay, I mean, I know a family friend that works in Chicago as an architect for CTA. Again, I'm just saying hypothetically, he may know things that
Right.
may help you. But you telling me this, my light bulb went on.
Start
Even though
trigger
I'm in
things.
Northern New Jersey, I know people, and this is what it's all about.
Exactly. Okay. By the way, if you're doing it, do a quick LinkedIn search of networking connections. Okay. And if somebody's a second or third level connection, those are great ones, but reach out to the person they're connected to. Okay. And always reach out to me. I'm happy to make those introductions. Okay. Did we have, I know there was at least one more hand up. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, hi. If it's okay, I want to just, Pam, comment on what you had said, but also preface and say, Aaron Kruger and I yesterday met up for coffee. So Aaron, if it's okay with you, since you're still on the call, if I can use a couple words that you had mentioned to you, Pam, and I think really to all of us, and that is that life ebbs and flows, right? That can be jobs, it can be other things. So credit to you, Aaron. I know that phrase has been around for quite some time, but Pam, to you and really to everybody, you know, many of us are obviously in a very tough time, and the market is very hard, but it is very true. And so whether you're in an ebb or a flow, either way, it's a cycle, right, that we all live through. And you know, Pam, and really to anybody who's looking, we'll all get jobs at some point. It's a matter of where and when, what company, and the value. That I think that word value keeps coming back up. But Pam, you know, if you ever want to reach out, happy to talk to. And thank you, Aaron. You know, I do think it's true. Life is always moving, so we just have to move with it, whatever direction it takes us. So it'll happen for you, Pam. But I also wanted to just mention one other thing. So quickly, I know we're past time, but the word persistence is something that I recently had experienced in regards to a job. So I had applied to a job at a company local. Position was a great opportunity. I had spoken to the recruiter who passed me on to the next round. And I thought the next round was speaking to the hiring manager, but it was speaking to the chief marketing officer, and it's a marketing role. So I had assumed that person was the hiring manager. It turns out they're not, and that they are actually moving internally into a different role. But then after that call, I got a rejection email, and I was disqualified. So I reached out to the recruiter and I said, hey, you know, do you have a moment? Can I get some feedback? You know, if it's okay, can we get on the phone instead of doing everything through email? And so we spoke on the phone, and, you know, the recruiter basically said, you know, I really appreciate your persistence and interest in continuing to, you know, work for us and your interest in the role. You know, and he goes, what can I do for you? And I said, I'm just looking for feedback. And I got the feedback, and I sat on it for a couple of days, and I sent an email to him and I said, you know, I've been thinking about this last few days, and I'm just curious. I understand if I'm rejected and I respect your decision, but I never had a chance to speak to the hiring manager. Is it possible to get my resume in the hands of the hiring manager and see if they're interested? and having a discussion, whether formally or informally. And if it's still a rejection, then that's okay. But at least it gives, the hiring manager and I a chance to connect. So I waited a while, I sent the email, I waited, and I got a response back again with the word persistence. We appreciate how persistent you are and your interests, et cetera, et cetera. I've passed your resume along to the hiring manager, who is the CEO of the company, and we'll get back to you, with a timeline, at some point when we know whether or not they're interested in speaking. So I got an email yesterday that, they're staying status quo, that, I'm not moving forward, which is okay. And I respect that decision, but I think that it's important. One thing I actually said to Aaron yesterday too, one thing that I'm trying to do with respect while being professional is, if there is a role that I applied to that I do get rejected from, whether it's a standardized template or something a little bit more personal, which are always very nice to receive, but it's not frequent. If it's something that a company I really want to work for, I got rejected for, a role at that company that I really want, I try to step one is, take the feedback, get the feedback, right? Understand why. If you get that, or if I get that, which in this case I did, I often try to push a little bit, right? It's almost like if you get an offer, you negotiate your offer, right? Like there is no offer, but maybe push a little and see what the result is, if anything at all. And if nothing happens, or, you get ghosted or something, then you tried once, you went through some rounds, and you tried maybe a second time and didn't work. So I think that being persistent in a really tough job market is extremely important. And again, having gone through this recently in the last week or two, at least there are companies out there that are willing to potentially take another chance and have another discussion. So just wanted to bring
here's
that
another way of trying to do that follow-up. Number one, asking for the feedback is, how can I better prepare myself for a job like this in the future? Takes the onus off of them to say you didn't get pass forward because. Okay, so from their company's legal standpoint, it's easier. Okay, they're more likely to give you honest stuff. Number two is, if you have the name of the hiring manager or somebody else, is, I would love to be able, just send them resume. I know that you're not interested in me for this role, but I'm really interested in this company for this and this. And I would love to be able to be kept in mind for future opportunities. Here's my resume, just, okay, for that. That sometimes seems to work. Be careful. I love the approach that you're not taking no necessarily for an answer the first time, and that's great. But do be careful, because depending upon the role, that persistence can be seen as pushy. Okay, so it's that fine line, okay, that you need to walk, because we want to be able to continue to connect with, to continue to do business with, to continue to hire and network with people that we like. And sometimes that line between pushy and persistence can push it one way or the other.
Yeah, I agree. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you all for hanging in. We are now well over 15 minutes afterwards. Is there anything else that you all want? By the way, I am looking for suggestions in terms of what we're going to be talking about for the next couple of weeks. So please send them to me, DM me. Let me know what you want to talk about. We want to make sure that these work for you. If you have speakers that you would like to add to the mix, please let me know those as well. And again, these need to work for you, and we want to make sure that they're there. I'm going to turn off the recording